Let's gather around for a tale of superheroes, villains, and an epic culture war clash that's shaking the very foundations of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. While Marvel fans weep into their comic book collections, could the underdogs of the culture war be popping champagne corks and celebrating their unexpected victory? It's a topsy-turvy world, folks, and we're just along for the ride. What are the main arguments made in this video about the failure of the Marvel movie and its significance? The video argues the box office failure of the Marvels represents a major cultural tipping point against woke Hollywood. It positions the film as not just another Marvel flop, but an outright catastrophic disaster that exposes the failure of political correctness infiltrating franchises. Numerous statistics are cited highlighting just how massive of a failure the Marvels was, with the lowest MCU opening ever and record collapse in week 2. This disaster is framed as an utter repudiation of mainstream media hype and false projections. The video asserts the usual excuses of racism or misogyny among fans and lack of promotion don't hold up. It argues what worked to defend failures like Captain Marvel before no longer works in 2022, showing a cultural shift. Focus is placed on how Marvel and Star Wars were converted from successful male franchises into girl brands obsessed with diversity, ruining them. Parallels are drawn to Ghostbusters 2016 and other reboots. The failure is positioned as part of a string of losses for woke Hollywood, including Rings of Power, Star Wars projects, and a public turn against Disney. The MCU's downfall represents the wreckage from ignoring fans. Despite offensive terminology, the growing use of MCU is framed as symbolic of the utter disaster of Marvel's intersectional vision. The era of woke pop culture dominance is painted as expiring. How does this characterize the reactions and coverage of Marvel's failure by mainstream media in Hollywood? It portrays mainstream entertainment outlets and figures as utterly bewildered by the failure, after expecting the Marvels would succeed as a win for representation. Focus is placed on articles blaming racist, misogynist YouTubers and trolls for manufacturing backlash against its diversity, leading to failure. The video argues this excuse rings hollow now. Various excuses like superhero fatigue, lack of marketing, and aging fans are called out as desperate deflections by the media to explain away the film's rejection. Special criticism is directed at positive pre-release coverage, playing up the cultural importance of diversity in the Marvels as a form of distortion. The arguments glowing mainstream reviews repeatedly using fun to defend the Marvels shows evidence of disingenuous coordinated review bombing. Overall, the coverage is portrayed as disconnected PR damage control by an out-of-touch media, unable to accept audiences rejecting the film's vision and politics. How does the video portray the significance of Marvel's failure for the future of Marvel movies and pop culture franchises? The failure is positioned as conclusively proving the MCU brand is severely damaged through embracing a woke political agenda over quality storytelling that alienated fans. The era of MCU films being guaranteed massive box office hits just from the Marvel name is painted as definitively over. The franchise faces skepticism over its future ability to draw big audiences. Upcoming MCU shows and films are framed as likely to underperform as well, with projects needing delays to desperately rework and attempt to course correct. More broadly, it's argued Disney and Marvel's entire business model of prioritizing diversity messaging over quality storytelling across brands is called into question. Beyond just Marvel, the failure is characterized as a turning point of audiences rejecting woke politics dominating storytelling across entertainment. The tide is turning against this priority. Optimism is expressed that entertainment companies will finally learn from these failures. The path forward is positioned as focusing on uniting people through compelling universal storytelling first. What does the video suggest about the relationship between pop culture franchises, political agendas, and their audiences? The video argues aggressively pushing political agendas through major pop culture brands like Star Wars and Marvel is inevitably destructive by alienating much of their built-in audiences. A through line is drawn of entertainment outlets increasingly prioritizing messaging perceived as political correctness over quality storytelling and characters, angering fans. Pointing to backlashes like Ghostbusters 2016 and Star Wars, the video portrays fans as disdainful of feeling major franchises are being hijacked to lecture them. Heavy-handed political agendas in pop culture are blamed for unnecessarily dividing and poisoning fandoms, damaging thriving fan communities. The failures are positioned as the inevitable result of media outlets and creatives treating pop culture IPs as vehicles for politics and representation instead of quality escapism. Looking forward, the video argues the lessons learned should be that pop culture franchises succeed through inspiring stories and compelling characters that avoid wedge issues. How does the video characterize the culture war between Hollywood and fandoms around pop culture franchises? The video frames the failure of the Marvels as a major defeat for woke Hollywood in an ongoing culture war with fans wanting a political entertainment. Entertainment media is portrayed as having exploited pop culture fandoms, taking their business for granted, while attacking and dismissing fans demanding better quality. Instead of learning lessons, Hollywood is depicted as doubling down against fans through blacklisting, smear campaigns, and coordinated shaming to defend declining brands. Ultimately, this culture war is presented as being avoidable, with entertainment power structures arrogantly manufacturing the conflict out of contempt for their customers. The video argues that fans have become wise to the false narratives, depicting them as bigots for wanting a political enjoyment from escapist stories and characters. With the tide turning, optimism is expressed that the pop culture industry may finally heed the lessons from brands destroying themselves and provide what audiences want. How does this characterize the response to the failure of the Marvels from Disney, Marvel Studios, and their defenders in media? Disney and Marvel leadership and loyal media are completely blindsided by the failure, having bought into their own hype and false projections. The response is characterized as completely disconnected damage control, desperate to divert blame and avoid confronting the real reasons for rejection. Focus is placed on responses scapegoating racist, misogynist trolls online as having manufactured unwarranted backlash against the film. The video frames the response as exposing an utter lack of self-reflection on their failures to win over audiences with what was delivered creatively. Instead of learning lessons, the video argues the response shows an intent by Disney and Marvel to double down on the same political messaging and creative decisions. Overall, the defenses are portrayed as the flailing PR spin of an arrogant industry unable to accept or understand audience rejection, destined to continue failing. How does this portray the impact of changing cultural attitudes on the success of Marvel and Star Wars movies? The video argues that the massive success of Marvel and Star Wars movies in the past was enabled by a cultural landscape that no longer exists. It suggests these franchises are failing now, because public attitudes have shifted against Hollywood's political correctness and identity politics infiltrating established franchises. And there you have it, folks. This is another chapter in the ongoing saga of culture war showdowns and superhero smackdowns. But before you go, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to our channel for more spicy takes on all things pop culture. Make sure to hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our next deep dive into the world of superheroes, villains, and everything in between.